It's another wonderful evening here on the studio of Essentials TF, and we are here bringing you more lovely ETF2L action from the 6v6 Autumn 2024 League. I'm TurboTabs. I'm joined in with Beta on production, and I know you're thinking, where's Lucky? Where's my favourite caster? Where's the guy? He's coming, don't worry, I'm sure he's coming. He's on the freeway, he's probably caught up in traffic right now. I've heard he's saving a burning orphanage, all that. But whether he turns up or not, it's okay, because I've got you, Twitch chat. You're going to be my co-cast for the evening. Don't worry, I'll hold your hand throughout the way. Let me give you the skinny. It is week 4. It is MANDEM versus Danish Tyrant regime. This is numero uno versus the El Bottomo of the league. And I'm going to level with you, Twitch chat. It's going to be a tough one. But there have been crazier things that have happened in the old ETF2L logs and backlogs of the league. We've had times where 7 have been upset. We've had times where Epsilon have been upset. Maybe this could be the time that MANDEM are going to get upset here in their sort of league results. Anyway, these two teams, if you're living under a rock and you really don't know who these teams are, but you know Epsilon like the back of your hand, let me catch you up. MANDEM, over on the side of this team, we have... Oh, is Inzo playing Medic? Well, that's wild. Okay. Well, yeah, so Inzo looks like he's playing on Medic. They've got Pandemic playing in on Scout as a Merc. Boulder would be hanging about on Scout as per usual. And then I believe we have Haunts and Lardux in on the Soldier classes. And then obviously Fancy is playing that Demo Man. And over on the Tyrant side of things, the Danish Tyrant regime, we have Seeger on Medic. Dejvi on Demo Man. I'm butchering these names probably. Peter and Peter's playing Soldier. Smile, I think, is switched off to Scout. We're doing a lot of switching back and forth tonight. And Ams is still playing Scout, however. And they've got in Nicky, or Yeehaw, as some people might know him. He's going to be playing Soldier, I believe. I know he likes to play Scout, but he also likes to play Soldier as well. I believe they're going with Soldier this evening. So we've got quite a bit of musical chairs between both of these teams. Maybe we're kind of playing a bit lax on both of these. Maybe they're kind of thinking that the results already been made up in their head. But who knows? When you've got all this pressure on the shoulders of MANDEM and then all this not pressure on the side of Danish Tyrant regime, you never know what might happen. As for the map, let me see. I'm going to try and see if I can hunt them down off the ETF2L pages. Hopefully they've been very nice boys and girls and supplied them here. Bagel and Granary. Okay, so Bagel and Granary will be our 2 maps. It looks like we're going to be going to Bagel first. And usually, as a caster, Twitch chat, you want to go over to your script and look at yes, Cough, the upset game mode. The one that people can just DM and figure it out. But I don't know, Bagel takes a lot more coordination nowadays, but I hope that you are giving Danish Tyrant regime your energy, because we've just gotten started. If you're just joining us, I'm TurboTabs, I'm here with Beta on production. It's MANDEM versus Danish Tyrant regime, and already starting off mid is a very confident MANDEM, already taking early space on the midpoint, whilst DTR are just kind of chilling it, taking a more passive approach. I've been seeing a couple of teams do this a lot more often, just really staggering out that beginning half of the thing, and already first blood claimed out by Danish Tyrant regime. You do have Nicky coming in, flying high, getting that pick on to Inso. So with the Medic taken out of the equation, they may have lost the battle, but they might win the war here over on DTR. They've got 100% now, and there's no sort of forward hold set up. Ams has already called this for the rest of his team, and the first thing they need to do is just kind of pressure out any sort of these early bombers. And Haunts has already been pushed out. Nicky trying to punish him, can't quite find it though as he picks up a health pack. They still have 100% Uber charge. If they see an enemy beam over on Inzo, they could humor the idea of just taking the Uber in aggressively, but their flank is kind of in tatters. They're dealing with Pandemic on the fly. And God, that he will even pick up a kill against Smile as well. So with 3 players down and your Uber still not used. Oh, Pandemic's coming in from behind. Manages to force out Sega, and Sega has to use the Uber at this point. They're going aggressive. They connect with their Doman Dejvi, who's managed to lay out a decent amount of damage, but not enough to justify 3 players going down on this team. And they still haven't capped off any of the point during this. Fancy with the fancy pipe will get a kill onto Dejvi, and Ams has managed to come back to the world of the living to clean up these final solo affairs. But to say that's your Uber charge as well, and your medic died in the post of that Uber charge, this is not great for poor DTR. Let's see how MANDEM responds. Fortunately, they obviously did not get an Uber charge during all that. There was some casualties, but they will get those respawners just that little bit earlier, and they're already pressuring up points straight off. Any sort of time pressure you can get on Bagel is a good time pressure. It's not kind of like Cough, where you kind of feel bad for just gapping the point and then immediately losing it. You can just kind of shred a couple of seconds here and there on a map like Bagel. Again, this is forcing the hand of DTR to kind of just keep that point blocked. And Fancy, though, is like, if you step off that point for a second, I'm capping it. And he does. So now, if shoes on the other foot, they're going to play a game of defense. They don't want anybody dying here on MANDEM. They just kind of want to keep the point nice and peppered and protected. I don't think they're going to go... Oh, they're moving across aggressive finally now. Peter wants to go in. Punish. Inzo, nice! Rocket coming out from Peter. That is the lifeline they needed from DTR, and hopefully they can just go off of heals alone to get back into this fight. Lardox is causing a bit of a nuisance in the house area, however. Will get cleaned up, and God, they're bleeding a lot of players, but Ams is on solo sort of MGE mode with a medic at his side. He's got a scout peppering him at the back. Will deal with him, but he had to expend his Uber just to keep things safe. Ams on the final chase looking for Boulder. The team leader doesn't quite want to force the directive, however. Will go back, and I mean, if you're on the side of DTR, this is good, but it's not the best day in the world. You probably would have wanted just to hold on to your Uber charge for this defense incoming from MANDEM. MANDEM, they're all back to the world of the living. Gonna push in now. Nikki going in for the bomb on top of Inso again. Nice sort of follow-up by Peter. Doesn't quite find the medic though, but does get a nice set of damaging rockets on the enemy team. And with both of their soldiers expended now, we'll have a pause. Well, so... let's have a look at the dust. Let's see what is settled and what has happened in the grand scheme of things. You've lost all of your projectile classes over on MANDEM. You haven't lost Inzo, however. That has been the story of the entire match so far. Inzo has just been going down to these pesky Nickies, these pesky Peters over on these Hail Mary flanks. Really annoying. Whilst Ams and co, they're just playing back. I don't know why they're playing back per se. There's no demo man over on MANDEM, so in theory, once they get healed up here, once Dejvi gets a crossbow, they should be able to kind of renegotiate a fight here, because they've got that demo man pressure. The only thing we have to worry about in these little stretches is if Smile does not overextend themselves. You can see Smile just kind of hanging about over on the left house. And we got to keep in mind, he is making a class change in a way. I'm not sure of Smile's entire pedigree of his ETF2L success, but that man always springs to my mind as a demo man main. But he's going to cling with his team. We've unpaused now, and like I said, they've just got healed up and they've taken back control of that midpoint. They've got some valuable time taken away from the timer. I'm going to get as shocked by this cap as you guys are because my timer's broken, but let's see where they go. MANDEM actually easily claiming the point off of DTR. That's kind of surprising. They have the overcharge now. If they see Inso, they should be aware that they have this advantage over them and they could probably take the fight to them, but they're a bit shell-shocked. They don't want to take the immediate easy fight. They pop off and exchange Ubers. This is going to be more favorable for MANDEM than it is DTR, as they do have the timer ticking away during all that. Bold again, a fat solo will manage to get a pick onto the demo man, and after that initial pick they just back out and try and play an overextending game against DTR. And DTR, Ams is trying to make something happen against the poor Derriman Fancy, but Fancy's like entire shtick is just not dying and then even fishing out a kill over on these overextenders. Smile going hero mode will go down though. This is not a happy Marvel movie. He will go down. Heroes do die in the game of Team Fortress 2. Peter, he's going to have another crack at it. It's just too much, and it looks like it's going to be going towards the step of MANDEM, and we've got a flying medic, speaking of super, and Hams is going to make one last little try, literally holding down the fire button and the barrel into Boulder, but he's got too much heals into him, and all the time surmounts to a MANDEM first round, but it's a long one. Whew. Well, that's just our first round. We've still got two others in the tank. Let's see what else that DTR can kind of manage. I'm liking the bombs from Peter. I'm liking the bombs from Nikki. These seem to be the best way to kind of push against MANDEM, is feast off the fact that Inzo is not used to playing that medic class. He's used to having a scattergun in his hands, not a medigun. So let's see how they change up their regime over on the Tyrants. Playing very cocky so far from MANDEM. Already had Boulder just hanging about on the point, whilst Danish are playing very, very passive. They have Peter and Smile going for this sort of double flank play at the same time. They're not only meeting Lardux, they're meeting Pandemic at the same time. Very nice rotations, very even better rotations from Lardux to follow up and get the bonus kill onto Ams, who was overextending. And they hold on to their medic. They've got a soldier jumping in. That's Haunts. He might go down. Oh, a nice little rocket to keep himself from cratering there. And that's a valuable sort of +1 to kind of make their team a bit more intimidating on this forward hold. Lardux holding down the line for his team, making sure that they're not immediately going. They're just going to pop off the Uber. It's a solo AMS Uber, but they're milking it. They don't want to use the Uber. They're just dodging left and right. A and D, and yeah, AMS will get the force on the Uber eventually, but it just costed so much time, so much pressure. Does allow Seeger to get out, however, and now going to come in with some fresh heals on the rest of the squad and maybe just take a regular dry push. Haunts kind of caught out in no man's land, will be sent to the no man's land, and hopefully they can play off of this advantage. AMS should be coming back soon to the fight. When they've got him in, he should be ready to go ahead. It's a 5 versus 6 right now. They've got the point and they're trying to just cap it, but if you have anybody on MANDEM, which they are, they're just standing on the point and just delaying the point longer. I don't know why they don't want to get aggressive over on Danish Tyrant regime. They finally go in now, get a nice couple of rockets from Nikki onto Inzo with the medic taken out, but they threw everyone to go across on that point. It just seemed like the worst time to do it. If this was a moment, a kind of idea placed about 30 seconds earlier when there was a 6 versus 5, it probably would have gone differently. Let's see, where is Fancy putting these stickies? He's sticking up the house. It's the usual troublemakers, so they're just going to dodge it over on DTR. They're going on the right side. They notice that it's only Lardux here, so it probably means that Fancy's watching the other side, so avoiding the sticky traps altogether. But it is quite the meat grinder just being entered in here. Not only do you have scouts towering on height, but they're ready to chase you if you feel a bit too low, and they get easy buffs as well. Fancy, this is the best game he's ever had. He's just like, I'm just going to watch these stickies and not even be challenged on the house area. Usually you have that one player, but no, they look like they all want to triple dip, double dip. An off-class AMS going sniper, you don't see that every day. He's going back onto scout, you see that every day. So he, let's see, 100% Uber charge on Inso as well. Seeger's going to have his Uber now. They're looking to push from house instead. They're going to chase a solo Fancy instead. Will manage to catch him off guard. Didn't expect a solo Uber to get on top of him. But you could kind of call that a forced Uber if you want to be really positive on the side of MANDEM. They use their own Uber charge now, trying to chase down with the scout taxi. Can't quite find him, however. And yeah, so they will manage to just kind of weasel the last couple of players away from that sort of failed Uber push across from MANDEM. And well, when the dust finally goes down, both of these teams are lacking any sort of Uber advantage in this very moment. They're just getting kind of overextended into the general aggression idea on the Danish Tyrant regime, but they're not looking at the numbers. They don't really have the players up and available to kind of justify some of these aggressive movements. It's Lardux again versus the world in this house area. They see if they can force this doors. They rotate fancy, however, but they manage to beat through the stickies and not have to fall down to the initial aggression of this house play. They have managed to get out, but that's just step one of this 5-step plan to just get to the stinking middle here against MANDEM. And as all the time it took there, they do manage to cap it off, but it's overtime for MANDEM. All they need to do is just cap that point once, and it's a very achievable thing, even with the massive amount of resources that MANDEM have. They're coming in, they're getting in quite free over on MANDEM, not really being challenged, no initial bomb. That's the only thing I'm looking out for, and I'm sure that's what Inzo's looking out for as well. Doesn't want to meet the challenge of a big bomb coming out from any of these players. They finally exchange Ubers now. Boulder going on top of Dejvi. Dejvi's going to go down. That's a demo man out. Peter's being manhandled by 3 players, whilst over on Sega and the other Uber team, they do manage to cause, but not as much destruction on the other side for Danish Tyrant regime. And then they just take their initial numbers from each side, they meet back in the middle again, and who would have known, the one that held on to the middle the longest wins this round. And oh, is that a voice I can hear? Harry, can you hear me?
I can indeed hear you. I can't see the game, so I'm going to have to leave you to solo cast for a little bit longer.
It's okay, I didn't mean to pressure you. I'm so sorry, my friend. Ignore me. It's okay. Let me paint you a picture with my words. So far, MANDEM are leading the charge with 2 rounds on this server. Danish Tyrant regime, there's got some things I like. I'm liking the picks onto Inzo, but they're not making their aggression happen in a timely manner. But hopefully, 3rd time's the charm for the Danish Tyrant regime. Nikki jumping first in. Take out Boulder. They find the head. They chop it off. And it seems like the body is following. They look a bit scattered over on MANDEM, but they're showing a bit of their DM prowess, kind of flexing. Ams is running for his life. Who took my health back, says Ams, and he's going to go down to Pandemic. And fortunately, Inzo did go down in all of this chaos, and Sega managed to hold on with their bit of overcharge that they built from this sort of array and fight. So again, a battle lost, but a war potentially on the cards for DTR. We're back into it. Once more into the breach, dear friends, as we have everyone buffed up. They have to deal with Haunts. He's going to go behind, kind of deterring their attention 2 different ways. Meets up with those flank crew who take out Peter as well. So it's not even just like deferring attention, but nothing will go against the plan of Ams. Ams is like, our best escape is to go forward. Sega has to pop his Uber though. There's 3 players nipping at his behind. And Ams is trying to chase these soldiers down. Will eventually get one, but he's wasted so much time with that Uber charge to finally get to somebody. And in that sort of pressing sort of tunnel vision mode, Ams and co did get Inzo down, and they've managed to hold on to the points as well. It's very fortunate that that flank team didn't cause more of an issue for MANDEM in all that sort of tunnel vision push. Haunts challenging Nikki, doesn't quite find the kill, however, and they're holding on to the point. This is much better. Haunts still challenging for Nikki, needs some help. Boulder's going to actually claim his life, and they're punishing now over on DTR. Can they punish Lardux as well? This would be a nice pick. They will. And Ams even managed to kind of go into 3 players while I was looking at poor Lardux going down. So this is very good from Danish Tyrant regime. A bit of hope in their hearts. They've got an Uber charge as well to boot. And this all started off from that sort of follow-up support play from that house. And Haunt's not finding it.
I need not have joined the game because you were painting a picture with your words perfectly, as you said you were. Now with the Uber charge, full Uber charge advantage here for Danish Tyrant regime. They look to have a nice solid hold in this 3rd round. MANDEM up 2-0 though. How's it been so far? Has it been MANDEM absolutely dominating?
Danish Tyrant, they have some gas in them, but they just don't press the pedal soon enough. But they're finding their footing now. I feel like they are kind of getting into their groove just a little bit. I think it's more that they changed gear they're playing a bit more defensive and playing off top of each other. They can't let these caps go like this, however. When anybody's sort of capping, they need to immediately challenge them with a block. This has been the biggest blunder for the defense play. Horns cutting me off with a nice little shot onto Desiree with the Demo Man taken out. And AMS though. AMS is on a tirade. They've used the Uber charge. They went straight into the belly of the beast, and the beast is dying. He's got stomach problems, and he's going to go down. Oh.
Yeah, the Uber getting forced there, and then AMS just held W and killed Fancy and just collapsed down from there for MANDEM. The recap coming in from the Danish Tyrant regime there puts them back in the driving seat for now. You're saying that you can't let them cap, but AMS was just 10 health, could not block it, and was not getting a bow, was getting the beam, it was just too slow, and it means that now, although MANDEM were not able to capitalize, they are back through, but Haunts falling early is going to be a good sign for the Danish Tyrant regime, but Nikki is going to be found on the return kill, and MANDEM now coming forward. They have an Ubercharge disadvantage, though they're going to have to be careful, as Sega up to 93% here is soon going to be in play, as we have AMS playing forward on the point, taking this Ubercharge in. Fancy goes down, and we have Inso getting caught as well, and that looks to be an absolute domination of an Uber until Sega's found in the post. Haunts finding a rocket on top of the blue medic, and the Danish Tyrant regime, after a dominating Uber wiping MANDEM, are going to have to wait for their medic to spawn and cap up the point with equal Ubercharge situation rather than an Ubercharge advantage going into the last 40 seconds here.
We're getting lazy here on MANDEM. MANDEM are just kind of walking into an Ubercharge advantage and thinking it's going to be alright. And Lardux will manage to punish them, however, but that is still a well-worthy trade. Lardux has been doing a wonderful job in sort of these space creation walls, but only for it to get blown by them forgetting that Ubercharge is a thing in this game. Fortunately, both medics went roughly down at the same time, so they can't rely on it this time. They're more on this sort of house play, pick play, maybe even like some pressure play from AMS. And,
we have an Ubercharge advantage about 15%, so if it actually gets to Ubercharge, it's going to be Danish Tyrant regime in overtime with Ubercharge, and they're going to be able to block that. They're going to have MANDEM find Sega soon, otherwise it's going to be over. MANDEM are able to cap the point here, but a small Ubercharge advantage is going to be Danish Tyrant regime possibly going to try to take advantage of this with taking in the flank scout of Smile in. Fancy is going to be found with an Inso on 95% and isolated away from the team. He is going to die on 95, and Danish Tyrant regime look to be capping up the point. No, never mind, they're found, and it's MANDEM saving it for now, but with Inso on the longer spawn, better spawns for Danish Tyrant regime as well. It looks like the end might be nigh in this third round for MANDEM here.
Oh man, if Inso was not in the wrong place at the wrong time, that could have gone so differently for MANDEM. But, you know, big picture, they have managed to get their points still under control, but that overtime is still lingering over them, and it's got to be very desperate to not give up this point whatsoever. Fancy's still trying to hang it about best he can, but he's likely to go down here. He needs medical intervention, managed to stay alive for this long. If they could see the health of MANDEM right now, I think Danish would more than happy just walk across the point. The cavalry's come back in, but the cavalry is crippled. The cavalry will manage to still keep holding on to this point, but they finally fall to that health disadvantage. It's a round on the board. It's our first step to a comeback and maybe an upset.
Yeah, the two-pronged attack there from Danish Tyrant regime at the end. They're going for the medic and the point simultaneously. Meant that Fancy was alone defending the point, while MANDEM were unable to defend Inso as well, and it just meant that Danish Tyrant regime able to just get so much health advantage, as you said, and they came in and took the round, as we now have MANDEM up 2-1, but Danish Tyrant regime looking for the reverse sweep as we go into the fourth round here. Davey taking early spam though from those quick rockets. He is going to be pushed down to half health, and now he's taking more spam. Again, the soldiers from MANDEM just putting this Demo Man out of the fight as they have MANDEM all over the point here. Fancy putting really aggressive stickies further forward. We have Boulder and Pandemic trying to create space on the point and the flank simultaneously, and Lardux finds two on the flank. Peter and Smile go down, so it's Danish Tyrant regime who are going to be down one in this latter half of this mid-fight, as Davey is found in the 1v1 demo 1v1. It is going to be Sega that is the lone survivor. That's your best survivor if you are Danish Tyrant regime, but MANDEM are going to be able to find the point here and set up a forward hold of sorts.
Poor Peter, he is just like the forgotten middle child of this team. Even if he's been attacked by 2-3 different players. I've seen 4 people focusing him at the start of these games, and they
Uber's
just
out.
yeah, they exchange Ubers now. They responding kind over on Inzo. They might chase this into the lobby area, but they're waiting with sticks. Doesn't want to overextend himself. Boulder instead goes for the cheap easy kill. Peter pressuring at the same time. Smile managed to get in. He's challenging Fancy. Will get
Inso's
Fancy down.
caught.
Inso's gone down as well, but they've got lacking a couple of firepower on the rest of DTR. I mean, getting a med kill is all well and good, but at the end, you're more than happy to have people with actual guns in the end of the fight. What is this fight happening in the ramp area? And finally, Nicky will take somebody down with him, but that was quite a clown fiesta of 2 soldiers just bouncing off of each other. Fortunately, you've got a crits coming out for Sega. This is, I guess, another step in gear for them when things kind of get this fast-paced, but I think a lot of their success has been coming off of AMs and Azubas, and now they've kind of taken away that string from their bow. Horns is going to get the pick easily onto Nicky. That's and Peter going down on the flank as well. Smile trying to follow up on what Peter's created, but can't quite find any fruit from it, and they've got a crit streak. This is their only last saving hope with this. 100%, they're locked and ready. First sticky miss, second sticky miss. They finally get the third sticky on the Horns, but they're well aware of this crit's coming into fruition, and they're just going to back off on Inzo.
They did find 3 here though, and with Inso not having Uber yet, getting bombed in, isolated away from the 2 combo members as well, stuck on 97% with nobody around them to save them. They are going to have to go back to spawn, but Inso will survive, picks up the last couple of percentage points of that Uber, but a 2-minute hold for MANDEM. They're going to be well happy with that, as an Uber charge to boot is staying on the crit streak. Our Danish Tyrant regime, they have 45%. It's going to be about 20 seconds before they get a charge, and it's going to be MANDEM coming forward, full overcharge advantage pretty much.
Trap.
Fancy goes down though. Davey with a huge trap, as you say.
Oh,
as Pandemic and Horns both go down. It's absolute
there's only 2
collapse
left.
for
They've
MANDEM.
used the Uber in this desperate situation, Boulder and Lordux, but they can't find anybody. They're too slow. Scatter, says DTR. They're coming back in the post-Uber fight. Peter, wonderful rockets coming out for him, will clinch down this the juggernauts of the last season and manage to claim back their point quickly.
That's exactly what they needed to do as well. They can't let MANDEM build too much more time off this point, otherwise they're just going to be out of it. But now with a Kritzkrieg in hand, Inso only 20%, they're going to have to be playing aggressively here at Danish Tyrant regime because they have that Kritzkrieg or that Uber. They're hiding in the house though. MANDEM don't seem to know, they haven't spotted, as we have Peter waiting for the crits. The crit is indeed used, but it's not quite able to find anything. We do have Pandemic down on 9 HP. Balder is found by a long-range crit sticky from Davey. Haunts and Lardox are going to fall though, and that's 3 quick frags here for Danish Tyrant regime. That's more time off the clock. We do have Inso on 75%. It's about a 50% overcharge advantage over the crit streak as well. So it's looking like MANDEM are going to be in a good spot to re-push in, try to take this point, but they're going to have to be wary of this crit streak back out and then re-push after that cap is finished up.
Okay, already pushing the house. Peter will be overwhelmed. They come in with Nicky from the flank. Can't quite find the rockets onto Inzo, however. Uber charge still intact. They're bubbling away slowly at this Kritzkrieg. Or are they? Horns coming in from the flank, taking out the Kritzkrieg. That was kind of like the hope in this little skirmish, and with an Uber charge now to defend rather than attack, this is looking kind of curtains here for DTR.
It's certainly looking ominous as the crit streak is still out. They do need to stay on that crit streak to even get a charge before the timer elapses, unless they build perfectly with an Uber, which never happens. So it's probably a wise choice to stay on this crit streak, but versus an Uber charge on defense, it's going to be difficult as the Uber is used. They're going to be looking for frags here at MANDEM. They find 2. Davey and Nicky are 2 solid frags. That's 2 spam classes, including the demo man, which have gone down. But with 15 seconds on the clock, and Haunts with a spawn longer than that, it's going to be MANDEM all down to 5 for the rest of the timer. As we have DTR slowly come forward, but they lose 2. Smile and Peter are falling and are in the respawn queue. The Kritzkrieg isn't in play. It's going to be tough here for the Danish Tyrant regime as we have Davey falling. Nicky is down to about 20 health, but everybody's falling on MANDEM, but it's not enough as we have them picking up their 3rd and final round as they pick up the 3 points to go along with it.
You got to give credit to Danish Tyrant regime. They did make a little bit of sort of hope with their repush and how they can pick off a couple of players in that sort of starting stage. But sadly, what happened in the remnants of that fight is I think Smile was kind of what honestly I think justified in kind of his behind play, managed to get a couple of kills. I'm not too sure about Peter kind of also trying to play this hero mode. I think at this point they could have just bunched up and try and take the fight as and when from the little advantage that they had, and they probably would have saw much success. But I'm gonna give him a bit of a bye because Peter's been putting out some good work. Also, Ams was doing pretty well as well. Mandem kind of looked like they were banny posing a little bit, you know, way back in the chair, taking things easy. I don't think this was a game of wits about them. This was just a game of style.
Yeah, I mean, I think Danish Tyrant regime have lost that final round when they seem to not be able to force that Uber on the push out back from spawn after they had that crits creek disadvantage. They needed to get that Uber out and then repush with the crits. Having Seeger get caught as well just meant that the Uber was in play. They had to sack into it, lose players, and were just out of position for the end of the game. It just snowballed from there as we have Ams going 35-15, top fragging the server. He said he was doing well, and the logs would corroborate, getting top damage as well by nearly 100 DPM over Fancy and Boulder. It's just unfortunate that it seemed like the rest of his team not quite able to compensate, have Ams compensate for them, and it just seemed that the kills, a nice kill and damage advantage for Mandem was just too much for the Danish Tyrant regime to handle, really.
All right, I'm looking at the logs, and the very first thing is no mathematical stat. The first thing I'm seeing is, well, I've been calling Dejvi, but it's actually pronounced Davy, he writes in his nickname. I'm sorry, Davy, okay?
I can tell you're not a Highlander caster.
Oh man, I'm an awful innovator of reading words. I think I don't even read English sometimes, but sorry, Davey. But, you know, I mean, I'm going to do you a solid and just dodge over your stats as an apology, and then we'll go over to Ams instead. You're right, this kid has got a lot cooking in his books, but he had to use a lot of sort of resources to kind of give that up. Poor Peter was left out in the wings. Smile trying to pick up the pieces on the flank as well. I don't think DV got even a lick of healing from that. Do I even dare scroll down to these medic stats here? Yeah, Ams with a fat 29% heals throughout all of this. And usually you're seeing a lot of the Demoman taking the forefront of that on a map like this. But, I mean, Ams did manage to kind of give it a bit of, you know, justification. There was some huge, massive sort of streaks with the Uber and fights. So maybe on a good day, this could have worked out for them, but there was just a couple of timing issues. And at the end of the day, it is Team Fortress 2, and I think 6 versus 3 is just not really the hopeful kind of gameplay that you want to put out in some of these situations they were put in.
Yeah, what I find really interesting is usually team who wins gets more charges, but Seeker got four more Ubers and then 2 more Crits Creeks on top of that. So 6 charges extra over Inso on Mandem, and Inso died 6 extra times. So
yeah,
it's incredible that Mandem are able to just get 14 extra kills and 4k extra damage, even without those 6 Uber charges or 6 charges going on. It shows how dominant they are in that DM. As we head on to Granary now, forget about the past, look forward to the future as Danish Tyrant regime looking to take some points away from this week's fixture. Mandem looking still to take the full 6 in this week's match. Do you know which map was which pick? Because I certainly don't.
I don't either, so we've got a lot of common here, Harry, but it's fine. I mean, we can maybe make educated guesses here. That looked like it was a nice sort of little style from Danish Tyrant regime. I think it was a lot more like fast and loose and allows them to be a bit more scrappy. The soldiers get to, you know, run around, bomb around, enjoy themselves a bit more. So if I had to make an educated guess, I think Bagel was more favoring towards our low seed team this evening, whilst Granary a bit more compartmentalized. And now I think Ams is really going to struggle in this overall game to have the same flow as he was having on that previous map?
Well, I hate to absolutely break your perfect analysis, but looking at the match page, Ams picked Granary himself in the Steam chat, whereas it was Mandem picking Bagel. They banned Sultry and some metal bans going on as well, but as we have 3 points for Mandem on their map pick, maybe we get 3 points for Danish Tyrant regime going into the next week.
Yeah, this is good though. If there's any time to be wrong about this sort of analysis, it's hopefully on Danish Tyrant regime's favor, because if they're picking this map, they must have something, some general idea about what they think is better about their gameplay in the sort of moment-to-moment compartments of this map. I mean, maybe that comes down to an extremely solid mid, but historically, those scouts really have a struggle to kind of find their footing on this. But I mean, Peter and Nikki have been doing a nice job on these sort of bombs and kind of Hail Mary jumps on top of Inso. So if they can find that magic onto Granary, maybe they can just sail it away from there, get that first cheeky round, and then just dig their heels into the ground like good old Granary always facilitates for years now.
Yeah, I mean, Granary is a massively favoured soldier map, and if Inso is dying 14 times on Bagel, I'm praying for Inso on Granary mids. I have a feeling it might not go the best, but we'll have to see, as we do have all 12 players now on their teams, as we just wait for them to press that F4 button to ready up. What's your prediction for this map? Do you think that it is indeed going to be better for Danish Tyrant regime, or are MANDEM going to show some dominance here as well?
I want to be a believer in upsets and breakups and all sorts of magic in this world, but sometimes you have to call a cigar a cigar. I think MANDEM are going to sail away with this. I think they also have some nice little funny things you see sometimes slap out in their games on a map like Granary, and they were very dominant against other teams. I think it was it might have been Sketter or something, where it was very convincing on a map like Granary. So let's see. Who knows? It has been a couple of musical chairs for these two rosters, people playing different classes than I'm used to. So maybe that could change things up massively in the results.
Yeah, I fear that you might be correct with MANDEM being fairly dominant here, but as the teams ready up, there's only one way to find out. The next 30 minutes will tell us all, as we have Danish Tyrant regime in the blue once again with MANDEM in the red. On to Granary mid in the first round, as we await the Demomen versus Demomen, as we have Fancy arrives first, sticking up that pack, gets early sticky onto Davey, not able to heal all that off, but it's going to be a bit of a trade, as we have Danish Tyrant regime slowly coming around with the double bomb coming in onto Inso, but it's going to be in return onto Seeger. Nice surf onto the pack.
Is it?
Another one again, but it's not enough, as Seeger is going to fall, and it's going to be MANDEM picking up the rest of the stragglers of Danish Tyrant regime, and it's going to be a nice supercharge advantage to boot, as Inso's going to swarm with Fancy and Seeger's dead for the next 7 seconds.
Yeah, the scouts were very much swarming over on MANDEM. I felt like they just had a much better kind of footing of playing off the fights, maybe a bit more on their plate over on DTR to kind of deal with, and they were looking away from the scouts for a majority of it. Probably doesn't help that Haunts is also keeping himself alive, and that's just another thing to think about in all these mid fighting, and usually they're the ones that get picked off first, so you can kind of just cast them out of the mind, but when they're still living and they're still chasing that one pick, just gives another arm of distraction for these scouts to work with.
Not only are they getting picked off on Granary middle, but Smile falls on Granary second, and that allows MANDEM to come in. They have a slight overcharge advantage, but it has faded somewhat, as we have Seeger building nice and quickly. Sniper on Ampus is not going to find anything. He swaps back off, and Haunts is going to fall, so that's a nice player advantage here for Danish Tyrant regime on their last point, as the bomb comes in, and Lardox finds 2, and it's the 2 best picks. It's the Uber that's dropped by Seeger, and Davey falls as well, as the bomb's coming forward, trying to get that Uber charge out of MANDEM, and indeed it does. Ampus is going to be behind, is now going to be defending the point, but it's not going to be enough, and MANDEM are going to cap up the first round here off a lovely bomb from Lardox there.
Yeah, very big Chad energy coming out from MANDEM. Usually you need all sorts of kind of lists and reasons and off classes and all things to just kind of get in this fight, but they just managed to just push themselves through the meat grinder, and Lordok's taking so much space, and then after a solid minute of just sitting in the corner, they just forgot about him. And Seeger was none the wiser, just did the easiest bomb of his life, and got not only a med pick, but I think a bonus soldier pick as well. A lot of damage laid out, and yeah, Lordok's was crucial for that push.
As we go in onto the next mid-fight, it's all happening as MANDEM are up around here. The bombs now coming in. Nikki and Peter are going to bomb from one side to the other. Inso is going to take some damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill him, as we have two quick frags for MANDEM. Both Smile and Nikki are going to fall. Peter's still jumping around, but he's going to be caught out as Seeger falls as well. Bulldog picks up that frag, and it's going to be a full wipe for the Danish Tyrant regime, as MANDEM don't lose a single player as they barrel towards the blue second and in onto last as well.
Yeah, Peter, Nikki, both kind of faking their jumps a bit there, and what just comes down to was basically a couple of dead soldiers, metaphorically, in that sort of push on mid. So with two soldiers kind of expending their ammo and not really coming up with anything, it was dead easy for them to just get pushed over by MANDEM and their soldiers when they were taking. And also, again, Lordok's doing a lot of pressure and managing to keep himself alive as well. Seeger's going to be forced out back and won't be able to heal the rest of his team. Team's going to do a bit of a delta split, kind of annoying, because now they have to look in two different directions. Peter and Am's giving their best shot about it, but they're just too much resources, and getting split up like that is almost a silver bullet to any last defense. It's 2-0.
Indeed it is. Two frags falling before them, like last push even happened, is just a bit of a death sentence. And,
so this is the map pick of Danish Tyrant regime, huh?
Yes, apparently according to the match page, indeed it is. We pick Granary, and well, it hasn't been working out too well for them, as after 4.5 minutes they are down 2-0, and Fancy is a bit weaker than usual, but he is going to arrive first, and Davey can't even get to the pack, and it's going to be so much space here for MANDEM here. Lordok's on that blue crate, just spamming out Peter. Peter's out of the fight, Davey's out of the fight, and Danish Tyrant regime are all by that ammo pack, and MANDEM just trying to find some space. The double bomb coming in, Nikki's going to fall. It has his Peter, but Pandemic is going to die for it, but it's just going to be the soldiers bombing in. It's actually back into a 3 versus 3 after all of that, but Davey's out of the fight, so it's two scouts versus a scout and a demo, as we have a ring around the rosy here from Ampis and Seeger. Smile is caught out in the 1 versus 3, but manages to get back towards the point. The cap time is in favor of DTR, but it's not going to be down to the cap, it's going to be down to this Uber trade, and it's going to be two scouts versus a demo. Fancy's out of it. The Uber charge is better here for neither team. They fade at the same time, as we have Danish Tyrant regime slowly coming forward. It's going to be a 5 versus 5 as we have Davey still out the fight here. It's going to 6v5, sorry, for MANDEM, as we have Inso just looking for players to heal. He finds Boulder but misses the arrow as Seeger's put down, as Pandemic kills him in mid-air, and it's going to be a quick second middle fight here that goes MANDEM's way. It started a lot better for DTR, but unfortunately just the spawners from MANDEM were better, and Davey dying late just was a death sentence here for DTR, as it's going to be MANDEM capping up that midpoint for the third time this map out of 3. And it looks like they're going to get second for free on top of it, so it's pretty good for them. The only thing they don't have is an Ubercharger advantage here, by the looks of things.
Yeah, a lot happening on that mid, a lot to talk about, but these teams are wasting no time already turning up a second, but they finally calmed down there. They need to get their medics back into action, and they haven't got quite the Uber, so there's a bit of a stalemate. But yeah, it was a good mid. The only reason it probably went the way it did was MANDEM managed to kind of hunch up their blob so much earlier than Danish Tyrant regime. So fortunate though, Smile managed to reconnect with his team and not die during that. It was very easy to maybe get picked off in a situation like they had earlier. And then when it went to another mid, you're not used to these second mids. People are not standing in the same places, people's timings are way off, and usually their health is a bit inefficient as well, because they haven't got that same sort of rollout prowess and health distribution as they usually have. Very nice play by Haunts to actually focus on kill onto Seeger at the start of that sort of thing, because those sorts of kind of strange mids always lend to like an easier kind of jump on the medic than those sort of first mids go.
Yeah, MANDEM rotating back around from Lunchbox into Shutter as we have. I'm just trying to pressure in. DTR are just spamming those two doorways down, but now MANDEM are finally in with two of their spam classes, are getting a bunch of damage onto Nikki, but they find two in return. Everyone's falling. It's 3 for 3, and Boulder's going to die as well. Inso's not able to connect with his scout, and is going to be trying to find anything, and it's going to be the chase. He doesn't see it, and it's over.
Yeah, he's poor man. He's dead. He's probably calling for Haunts, but I don't realistically Haunts could have got to him in time and done too much to kind of press that entire sort of fight. I'm surprised they didn't use the Uber a bit earlier in all of that array. It looked like the initial start of it was going for MANDEM as they got the pick onto Nikki, but yeah, they just lost too many people in that sort of spam exchange on the point.
Yeah, they got all the space and they got a frag onto Nikki, and at that point I would have kind of expected an Uber trade to keep your players alive, but unfortunately did not happen as Seeger's getting bombed, pushed down really weak, and Fancy is now going to try to clean up the kill but is unable to, as we have Lardox and Co finding some frags. It's going to be Seeger and Smile here versus 4 on the side of MANDEM. They do have the Uber charge advantage though, so that is something you have to be aware of if you are MANDEM. This Uber is in play, but you don't see Pandemic coming in onto Seeger. The Uber is forced and the back cap is indeed in play. As you said, it's going to be a tough ask here for Danish Tyrant regime to survive this round.
Yeah, they maybe were thinking that they were going to go all the way to last there, but it's not really on the cards. With 2 classes going to that last against the 4 that are respawning, it's just not right. So fortunately they do rotate from Lunchbox in all the rush and manage to hold on to their Uber charge. Nikki kind of getting a bit aggressive, maybe wanted to get for a cap to say how much cap time they have. They pop off Uber, they do manage to pick off Lardox in all the fray, so hopefully this Uber's a little bit kind of strange. And Boulder, what does he even do with the remainder of this Uber? And the Haunts will clean up that back cap, however. There's no lifeline in that regard, and now it's just a regular skirmish, a 3 versus 3. Pandemic, where are you going? The fight is over here. There we go. Boulder's going to be joining the fight. He's taking the high ground instead and trying to pressure them from a different angle, and now Boulder meets up with his scout buddy, and yeah, the attention is just surmountable. It's 3rd round on the board for MANDEM.
This round was approximately twice as good as the previous 2 for Danish Tyrant regime. They have managed to hold on for slightly longer. They are 20 minutes left on the clock to pull back these 3 rounds and then some. So it's going to be a tough ask for them, but they have slightly improved. We'll have to see if that continues to happen, but MANDEM are looking extremely strong here.
Yeah, there's different flavors of kind of things that are just kind of messing them up a bit, mainly from their transitional play from that previous round, and it feels also punishing on a map like Granary, where if you make that sort of back cap happen, you lose so much of what you've gained from any sort of position, because you have to just go all the way back. And it was fortunate they didn't even lose the round from that. Anyway, another mid, another day, another dawn. Nikki and Smile, they're changing things up. They're not going pie high in the sky. They're now going in on underground, in the rooms, and starting to pick off Haunt early on this fight. The exchange sides, you would think this is a game of Sunshine rather than a game of Granary. Peter manages to keep himself alive during all of that aggression from the rotation, so credit to him. Fancy, when things get desperate, he jumps into the the sky and gets the pipe onto Seeger. That's going to be so frustrating. Inzo pops off his Uber as well. He was still alive during all this. The sword has slain Smile, and now with only 1 scout left, but it's the boss. It's the final level. Ams is here, but his teammate will come and bail him out. Haunt will commit the atrocity, and yeah, they've managed to get that mid out of absolutely nowhere, Harry.
Yeah, just the bomb coming in from Fancy and then just able to finish off Seeger. I'm surprised that Seeger wasn't just holding down M2 there to use that overcharge to ensure the kind of like mid-fight there, but it's going to be an overcharge advantage of small proportions for MANDEM here as they try to rotate through. They have about 10%, 15% if they can build quickly, but these bows getting missed is not going to enable them as the clock is ticking down on this overcharge advantage. They are going to be popping through in top, but on 90% is Seeger. It looks like the Ubercharge is not going to be used, actually.
Oh, they are
now. But with losing Fancy, the Ubercharge is in play for the Danish Tyrant regime as well. It's going to be awful for MANDEM as we have Lardox caught in behind. No one is seeing him at the moment, though. Inso is going to fall. Lardox is on top. He's 3 out of the pickaxes. Nicky falls in response, and it's going to be a 4 versus 4, but an Ubercharge advantage here for Sega for what feels like the first time in the map.
Yeah, they were kind of just kind of all-inning on that final moment, left point so for dead, but they managed to pick up enough picks to make this push out kind of hairy, because now they have to be a little bit careful. Fancy coming in, getting some crucial kills needed to kind of delay the second point. They might still lose it, however. Smile almost getting punished there in that overextension. Keep in mind, they didn't quite cap that second point yet, so those 4 respawns are going to be coming in lickety split, and Peter being rushed down upon. Mouse and W'd upon as well will go down. 1+ player, nobody kind of set up. Ams is on sniper. I hope you can hit these headshots, boy, because they really need you on scout right now. He goes down. Lardox is being pushed but can't quite get picked upon. Poor Smile has to do it on his own. There's too many players. It's a 4th round on the board, 16 minutes left. It's a quick one.
Yeah, blocking that point turned out to be an excellent play. Heads up from MANDEM there. They get a pick off of it as well. Peter getting caught, and although they had a 30% Ubercharge disadvantage, it did not matter, as just coming in onto that last point. We only had Seagate again to 91%, I think it was, by the end of that round. He was not able to play forward because they were too weak, and it meant that MANDEM just able to pressure onto that point. And once again, Fancy is so much quicker than Davey, as we have the entirety of DTR coming up top. Onto Fancy, getting too aggressive, getting too big for his boots, as the demo man for MANDEM falls, and it's Danish Tyrant regime.
Oh my god,
now,
I was like wondering, where's that soldier?
It's the parachute.
Why is he taking so long to fall? And Horns, he's defying gravity, having a bit of fun with himself, but it's strangely effective. He's managed to keep himself alive for so long, and he's put out some decent damage. With a couple of scouts on the board, they might be able to make this work. Boulder and Pandemic, they really wanted that soldier kill, but is it worth the heavy price? Ams is on the hunt. He wants a scout to add to his collection. Fancy's come back to the fight. They popped Uber. Is this Bagel? We've used our own Uber over on Danish Tyrant regime. They're now the ones doing the chasing. They're trying to maybe box them out. MANDEM can't quite box them in, however. Sega will get out, and it's time for another mid. We didn't cap, by the way, during all of that. I hope you're liking these second mids, Harry.
I am indeed, and it looks like MANDEM are just going to get it for free as DTR runaway tail between their legs, and it sounds like a new Pokemon move has come into the fray, as it is strangely effective coming out from the casting there.
Oh, I've heard of super effective. I've heard of not effective, but strangely effective. Nicky pressuring poor MANDEM. They're not quite committing, however. They just want to fish, and they have no bite. Sadly, they've been bitten themselves, and Haunts, Lardox, no soldiers to kind of deal with the blob of Danish Tyrant regime. Peter, very nice follow-up bomb coming in from him, punishing Boulder for hanging about there. Ams, he's oh no, he gets dropped. Effective sticky and rocket combo has left them kind of embarrassed over on
super
DTR.
effective.
It is super effective, and pushing across. They're frozen, they're burnt, they're poisoned, and they're possibly fainted here.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
Inso with the Dukes, Nicky bombing right on top of Inso, and Inso just ducking and diving and dodging, and takes 0 damage from 3 rockets. Absolutely amazing movement from the MANDEM medic, and that means that they have a full Ubercharge advantage pretty much coming in to Yard, as we have them going through Lunchbox here, going top once again, trying to take this Ubercharge advantage push with Lardox in top.
That's the trap disarmed. Lardox just kind of coming in and just, it's like, well, that was their entire defense on second and cleaned up. They've got 100% Ubercharge on MANDEM, but they know they've wasted a lot of time on their side. Smile, rocking the sniper class. I mean, it's the final minutes of the game. Let's take turns. Boulder, he's calling for his team to maybe come in. Haunts is playing off the distraction. Will meet a rocket to the ground in Tyrone style. Peter will get a nice kill, even getting Pandemic out as well. So this will be a successful defense for Danish Tyrant regime. This is probably the first of its kind I've seen this map.
Yeah, Haunts falling after his tirades in the air, and we had a headshot coming out onto Fancy to push back MANDEM. And now it's going to be a sentry gun coming up from Smile, swapping off that sniper into a more defensive class.
Oh no!
And,
what is Haunts evolved into? Is that the conch? We're going through the bingo card, it seems, for all these unlocks. It's going to take a while to build.
Feels like Highlander, Conqueror and a sentry gun. It's I feel at home.
Yep, sentry gun. It's the first time we've actually seen it. There's never been enough time. They've been breathing down their necks from MANDEM to poor Danish Tyrant regime. But it's going to take a decent chunk of time for Haunts to actually build up that conch. But he's got time on his side. There's 12 minutes left, so you know there could still be a legendarily comeback from the DTR team, but whether or not Haunts will allow it with his conch is another. He's still just trying to find excuses to build up that conch. He just needs to deal with a little bit of damage, but they should be kind of clicking and maybe even seeing with their eyes what he's trying to do here.
He has got 62% on that Conqueror. Davey getting absolutely mulched by a scout. Fancy coming out to help. Pandemic does fall, but it's going to be Nikki falling as well. And with 2 frags on either side and the sentry gun going down, MANDEM probably looking to get these final few percentage points of Conqueror as we have 69% nice on Haunts. And
oh no, the force!
Going to be a force spamming from window. I think Haunts able to get that force out of Sega, and it's going to be an ubercharge advantage. Conqueror not quite in play. We don't get to see the Highlander memes as Ampus is going to take off Haunts' head, but we do have an ubercharge coming out. They aren't able to get the cap, and we have Sega going to fall. There is going to be MANDEM defending the point once again. Ams is going to die. Lardox gets the frag as Boulder is falling in return as well as Lardox in. Everyone's dying though. It's going to be a scrappy fight on last for the final round, I imagine, as we have Nikki trying to defend the point. 1 versus 3. Sega is alive, back on the medic, but it is not going to be enough as MANDEM take the 5th and final round of Granary. A much more dominating performance from them on this second map that turned out to be not their pick, but it certainly seemed like it.
Oh, poor Peter. He had the flank of the century there. He could have came out absolutely guns blazing, and he did a lot of damage, but he just didn't quite clean his plate. And then Fancy punishing him on like minuscules of health, getting the double kill, and they just close it out in this sort of crazy sort of finale of this round. And yeah, 5-0, very convincing. I'm feeling very smug about my prediction. It's a shame because I feel like DTR, they've got some things cooking here. There's like, you know, flavors I like about this, but there's also just like bitter little awful mistakes that, and MANDEM just really crushingly just hit them hard whenever they make these little tiny slip-ups.
Yeah, and we were saying it's a massive soldier map in the preamble, but looking at the top of the kills, Boulder and Pandemic with 19 and 17 each, top fragging the server. Turned out to be a scout map today.
Yeah, I think it's because they never went to that sort of granary gameplay where you want to just kind of chill in your area, keep the doors on super lockdown. It was about just running over mid and then just pushing them immediately, just ransacking them. And credit to MANDEM as well to making the hard pushes happen, where they actually took these sort of stalemate-y kind of pressure fights. Those can go wrong really quickly. And sometimes they did, but the majority of times they did not. And they kind of showing a bit of masterclass, playing some harder TF2 and still benefiting.
Indeed, it was. Unfortunate end after an amazing first map. But who is your MVP of today? Who would you say across both maps?
Ooh, today. Ooh, that's interesting. I mean, MVP is a most valued player for their team, probably AMS. He's obviously a bit of an arm's length compared to his team in performance-wise. I do kind of wonder whether or not that's more like the AMS power showing up and more like, let's just put all the chips onto AMS, and just hope that we win at the blackjack table,
Bet it all on AMS, the roulette going round. Hoping it lands on on your fin. Yeah, AMS did absolutely dominate on Bagel. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough though.
But as for like, just solid overall, who had like a pretty good game, I thought Lardux was doing pretty well. This might be a bit of soldier bias flaring out from me, but I think he had like a lot of really nice moments of just space making and keeping alive, a lot of impactful mids as well. Everyone just had like the nice little moments, to be honest. I'm trying to find someone who was kind of taking the cake and struggling. I mean, I'm. You know what? No one's making absolute blistering mistakes. I think everyone's having highlight moments and they're having low moments. So I'm not going to be a bully today.
Not today.
Not today.
Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We had 3-1 to MANDEM on Bagel, followed by a 5-0. Bit of a stomp on Granary there. Unfortunate for Danish Tyrant regime, they will be taking away 0 points from today's match. But MANDEM looking happy with themselves after a full 6 go their way. Any final words?
Thanks for casting with me, Twitch chat, in that first couple of minutes of the game. It really carried me.
Shout out to Twitch chat. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. MANDEM will go to the top of the leaderboard, the league table, after gaining 6 points. They will be up on 23, followed by New Panzer on 21 and Skeda on 16. After 4 matches played, 4 weeks each. But that's been all for tonight. I've been Harry. I've had Turbo Tabs on the mic with me, and from the start as well. And we've had Beta on production. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.
See you.